Welcome to today's webinar. My name's Andrew Talbot from Custom Gateway, and I'm going to take you through easy product management for on-demand products with Gateway CPP, which stands for the Custom Product Platform. So the vision behind Custom Gateway is we make it easier to sell on-demand products. So clearly we've got to provide a very robust solution for creating, managing those products. And the objective of today's webinar is not to go into an in-depth overview of all the features, to give you an overview of all the features, but introduce you to the platform and give you a quick tour of the main product management features and how they will enable you to easily create, manage and publish all the different types of on-demand products. So what we're going to cover are product components, product creation, product onboarding, product approvals, product selections, updating your products, getting out product feeds, generating smart links, and plugins and APIs. Well, I consider all the essential tools for managing. So I'm going to start, and forgive me for being fairly brief, but there's obviously a lot in the system, so this is designed just to be a 15-minute tour. So the key concepts that you need to understand for using our system. So if you're creating a print on demand or a customizable product, you always need a blank product to start. So a blank t-shirt, a blank mug, whatever it might be. And then when you add your design, either fixed for print on demand or variable for personalized, that becomes a virtual product. So a blank product plus a design equals a virtual product, because obviously it doesn't exist on the shelf, hence we call it a virtual product. Some people don't use the system for artwork generation, so they can, if they want, obviously it's less good on conversions, set up what we call no preview products, and they're just products that collect data and pass data on. A quicker way of doing it. And then some people use what we call configurable or made to order or made to measure products, and they're made up of a series of attributes or parts, and they can be put together. And then finally, we've got something called galleries, which is a predefined collection of parts or textures or materials so that you can make products. So with all these sort of 5 areas, this gives you all the tools you need really to make almost any kind of on-demand product. So that's our boast really as a system. If you've got the custom product platform set up and integrated into your website, then you can cope with almost any type of on-demand product. And we cover that more in other webinars. So let's also just look at a few other important considerations when talking about product management. So where is your master product database? Now, this will vary really on whether you're a trade supplier of products or you're a retailer for your own use. If you're a retailer, your master database is likely to be your website or your stock management system, or it might be custom product platform. But what you've got to do is obviously think about how all those integrate with each other in terms of import or export and storing of different codes. The good thing is, as we'll talk about later, codes can be mapped to each other, and we've got lots of different places you can store codes within the system. So you need to think, if you're a supplier, it's possible that CPP will be your master database putting out to your other systems. But it really depends on your integrations and your workflow. But it's really important to think about what's the master product database. You also need to think, how do you quality control what is added? Is there more than one person in your organization adding it? Have you got third-party designers? If you're a retailer, have you got suppliers adding for you? All of those need consideration, which sort of flows into the next point. Who does what job? Is the designer that's designing the product, if it's a personalized or a print-on-demand product, the best person to do the data entry? We give them some tools that could make it, but you've got to think about the people and the resources you've got in your organization. And the tools that I show you in the course of this brief presentation will help you decide that. Then how can we make the process faster? We've developed lots of clever tools to make things faster. That's our job. That's why we exist. So don't always think this is how we've done it and try and make custom product platform fit that way. Do think about what custom product platform can do and how it can refine your processes. How are you going to use the product data is an important consideration. Is it publishing automatically to a website? Is it being sent out to retail customers? And as we've already discussed, the trade-off, future. So all of these things need considering. And obviously one of our engineers or one of our explainers is more than happy to run through this with you so that you can use CP the best way for you. And then product code options we've got to think about, because our system's very flexible. It could allow hundreds of SKUs within a SKU for different options. So think about the variants and how they're passed as well. And also the consideration is whether you're using the system to manage stock, because there's blank stock behind the personalizable product, or whether you're using it to buy wholesale blanks. So if you're a printer and you're buying from a wholesaler, all of those things are important considerations. So let's move on to the next section now. Creating a product. That's the starting point really for a product management system. And if we click onto CPP now, we'll see there down the bottom, you've got the option to create product. Now this is what we call creating the blank product. If you're creating what we discussed earlier, a virtual product, you can select the blank products that you want to use to create your virtual product and choose create virtual product. So you can bulk create if you've got a design. We'll touch on that in a minute. I just wanted to first of all touch on creating your blank product. So you can create your own 2D ones, or we can do for you. At the moment, in general, because it's a bit more specialist, we do the 3D creation for you, which is why it's greyed out in the wizard. But in the future, we do envisage that we will be able to give you tools to create your own 3D as well. And 2D can obviously be a photograph, a line drawing, however you want to do it. We've also got Create the No Preview, which we discussed earlier, is a quick way. And we've also got on-demand stock, which is where the platform is just being used to manage virtual stock. So not products that they're delivered on demand, but they're not customized. So those are the kind of core products. And the good thing is then when you choose one of these things, so if I chose 2D, it actually takes you through a mini wizard to make sure you're doing it. But obviously one at a time isn't always the right solution for everybody. So we'll show you some tools for import and things like that. But the process will help you walk through. So if we just go back onto here, and the next section is what we call the using the virtual products. So again, I'm not going to demonstrate the tools in detail, but if I go back and say I want to create, and you can create hundreds of virtual products at once. And we'll choose create virtual product. So only created from blank products. So I've chosen some non-blank products there. So let's just use one example to do that in terms of that. So create virtual product, and it will bring you up this screen. Now this screen allows you to use interactive, where it gives you, I'll click there just to show you, lets you choose a category. And then it asks you the size of your design, if you like, so that it can only put your design on products that it would work on. You don't have to do that, but obviously it's sensible. Existing design, so if you've created a design before and applied it to other products, we store all of those designs in the system, so you can go back and search them and add the design to a whole range of new products, which is a useful feature. We've got PSD or artwork file upload. That's for designers that can create products in other systems. You can import them into the system to save you time. And you've got artwork only, which as we say here is print on demand. Or you've done what we've just done and you can manually create a product. So that's how you can create and the tools you've got to create virtual products quickly. So moving on, the next stage is you've got a range of import options. Now, this is obviously for creating things at speed, and if we click on the import options there, we can see. Now, lots of these import options will come more about updating products. So when products already exist on the system, you can enhance those products. But simple stock, e-commerce data can be used for creating no preview products. Simple stock can be used for creating stock on demand products. And the new Excel feature can be used for creating products from scratch. And that's exceedingly complex. It's got hundreds of fields. So it could actually mean you could create hundreds of products at once, right down to specifying the pixel place for the personalization areas. But the best way to kind of get a handle on imports is if you do exports, export an existing product example to your Excel, and then you'll see the format of the Excel spreadsheet. The reason I say it's complex is we've got hundreds of fields in the system, so you can import all of those. So 3 ways really. You can add stock products, you can add no preview products, and you can even add personalized products using an import. We also work and can do work with you. We have an API for creating products. So we have got the opportunity to, you drop information in a folder and we auto create those products. And we're doing that for quite a few companies that manage large volumes of blank products or design products in the system. The next option I wanted to do is every product on the left-hand side, you've got a print test, a preview test, and an order test. And once you're happy, the ability to lock it. So that's individually within every product in the system, contextually, on the left-hand side, you've got the ability to do those jobs. It's obviously very important when we talked about the QC aspect of earlier. So moving on, we then look at a section which we call product onboarding. Now, this is particularly useful if you've got multiple people creating products or you're a larger organization, maybe a retailer where suppliers are creating products, or a supplier where designers are creating products. It actually gives you a proper product onboarding system with the stages, like you've put this product in, you're waiting for someone to start it, you've allocated responsibility, you've given it to Custom Gateway to do for you because we offer that as an outsourced service, the job's in progress, the job's awaiting supplier sign off, the job's awaiting retailer sign off, and you can define who both of those are. The job's been tested, you've done the print preview, etc. It's ready for testing and it's live on the website. So you can see you've got a full management system there. And to give you an example here, here's a whole load of jobs that are in progress. And you can actually tick off, I've done the aspects, I've done the print areas, I've done the image areas, haven't yet done the preview test, the print test, and the order test. So it's a useful way. It's not needed for everything. And then the next section we've got on that, which is obviously integrated to product onboarding, but can be used without product onboarding, is product approvals. So if you went into product approvals, the idea behind that, we'll talk about, or we've talked earlier about our virtual product creator, where people could actually go online and customers could create hundreds of products. So this doesn't need a full onboarding system, but you're kind of assuming you want to cast your eye over something before you allow it to go into your full product management system and be used in feeds, etc. So you could have comments like, don't quite like this, need a bigger font, or looks slightly offline, have you print tested? And you could approve or reject. And obviously that would go back into the product onboarding system or send a message to whoever was doing that job to say, look, you need to sort this out. So going back, you've got product approvals, product onboarding, which is the full process, and product approvals, which is obviously just that element of it. And one thing you can do, if we just flick back, you can see here, submit for approval. So that would then push it onto the product approvals tab. So obviously a lot more detail needed on that, but hopefully I've managed to convey the principle of how that might work for you. So let's have a look at the next stage, which is selecting products. So you've got a massively wide range of options for selecting products within the system. So if I just go into there, drop out my product, and you can see on the left-hand side, we can search by name, SKU, product ID. We can drop down into a range of categories. We can search by supplier if we've got multiple suppliers. We can search by dimensions, so whether it's a 2D or a 3D product. We can go by what we call region. So if you're doing stuff internationally, you can see whether a product's available in a region. You can decide what type of product you're looking for, whether it's just a blank, a virtual. And then you've got the advanced search as well, which covers off looking at the most popular, when it was created. And then even right down to at the top here, newest first, recently updated, best-selling. So you've got hundreds of ways of finding products. And then obviously once you've found the product, it's what you can do with that product. So you can then update it, and we've covered the import and export, I think. You can obviously do it individually. You can do it by bulk actions, multi-edits, imports. So the bit I was going to show you is here. You know, if I was on a font and I wanted to change, I can change all the titles of the fonts at once and hit save. So we've got quite a lot now of multi-edit options within the system on list views. So it's fast to change multiple fields on a product. We've discussed you can edit them individually. We've discussed you can import information. So it gives you a load of ways. And obviously the locking, unlocking, if we went back to have a quick look at that, in our bulk actions at the top here, you've got the ability to bulk lock and unlock. So it'd be useful if you just finished updating something, you would need to unlock it to update it anyway, and then you can relock it if you've got the administrative rights. So it just gives you the way of properly managing the system. So moving on, we look at product feeds. So this is really, really important. And this is something for suppliers, retailers. Really, this is what should be powering your website. Now, in simple terms, if we let's go and use one of these examples here. So if I wanted to generate a feed for a range of products, I can hit the feeds button, and it would give me my standard feeds across there. So these could be sent out to your customers. There's a generic retailer one. There's also API versions of this, so we can auto-publish to Shopify, Magento, eBay, Amazon, etc. And the retailer one gives you JSON, XML, or CSV. You can manually do these. And one of the clever things we've got about these, which drops me back into here, is what we call the Smart Link Builder. So all feeds include the Smart Link Builder. And if you are making front-end changes to your website, the Smart Link Builder is the widget that sits on your website, either embedded or in a modal window, that allows you to sell any customized or on-demand product without making any changes to your core database. And Smart Links are available in all feeds. And the Smart Link Builder sort of walks you through that process to give you the pop-up widget for your website. So, you know, if I was just doing that very simplistically, I've now got my Smart Link in terms of there, gives me it as a QR code, and just to give you an example, opens up, and obviously it can have different designs and everything else like that. But in this particular instance, it's just showing you that in its very raw state is how you embed something on the website. So I think I mentioned, obviously, we have a whole range of plugins now. So once the data is in your product database, you can use feeds or plugins or APIs to publish that data anywhere or share that data with your customers. Obviously, it's all in a consistent format, whatever the type of product, which is the big saving, because obviously On-demand products by their very nature have so many different options, and that's why it makes it difficult for people to put them on websites, and why our custom product platform is a perfect management system for managing these products. So can you see here the smart links and the smart code? We've just done that. Obviously the smart links you can test by clicking the preview button on the product as well. There's numerous configuration options, literally thousands of combinations. And the idea behind the smart code is if you can't update your website, you can still sell on-demand products and use it for data capture and other things using smart codes. But I'm not going to explain all of that in detail today because there's other webinars that we do to cover that. But hopefully you get the principle of we have a very comprehensive system here for managing your on-demand products. And I suppose the last part of the process, and this is obviously not for everybody, is adding products to your virtual product warehouse. So to give you an idea, if I've created a load of products here and said, yeah, I'm happy with these, I've QC'd them, I've locked them, and you can then go audit data and send to VPW approval. Now this button has two features. So audit data is very useful anyway, because it will just run through all the products and make sure that you haven't missed any fields out. So it's an automated version. So I think that's very useful. And sending them for VPW approval means they could be uploaded to our virtual product warehouse, which is obviously available in the software. If you click on the virtual product warehouse tab, and then we go in there, and then that's used by hundreds, if not thousands, of retailers around the world to source products. So not only can you manage products and publish them to Amazon, etc., you can also publish them to our B2B marketplace, the virtual product warehouse. So hopefully that's given you a really good understanding of the power of CPP as a product management system for on-demand products. Thank you for taking the time to listen to our webinar today.